Hello, tubers! Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And thank you for watching Coopersthaiadventure. Hello, folks. Today's topic on Money Matters is Bitcoin terminology. I'm assuming now everyone out there watching has done their research as I'd hoped they would do. Watch that video I had mentioned with Tucker Carlson. I think I'll put that link in again. I actually watch that video fairly regularly. It's a real good exposure in layman's terms to why you should be owning Bitcoin going forward. But besides that, you're going to come across, when you do research, a lot of words. And again, the biggest barrier to study, as I mentioned in a prior video, is what's called the misunderstood word. And if you don't know the meaning of a word, it makes everything else you see after that fuzzy. So it's important to learn the terminology. You'll come across these, terms I'm going to explain today quite often, in your study. And so the first one is fiat. What is fiat? Fiat is a government-issued currency not backed by a physical commodity. So an example is paper money. Every government on the planet issues paper money. And yet there's no one on the planet, no government, that's actually backing this paper money with any physical commodity. Back in the old days, they used to. The U.S., believe it or not, used to be on what's called the gold standard. So in other words, if there was always gold backing up the currency that was issued. But they realized after many years, I think it was in the 60s, Nixon decided to, or was it 71? But anyways, he decided, no, we're not going to use that currency to back, gold to back the currency any longer. And, that was maybe a warning shot, let's say. And what we've seen happen with the governments throughout the planet is the continuation of issuing currency with nothing backing it, causing this massive debt loads that they all have. And in my opinion, that's one of the big reasons Bitcoin has taken off in the last 15 years and is going to continue doing so. Next item, obviously, is what's cryptocurrency and a crypto asset, let's say. It's a digital currency designed to work as a medium of exchange as well as a store of value through a computer network that is not reliant on any central authority, such as a government or bank, to uphold or maintain it. So, I refer to Bitcoin as a crypto asset. Obviously, people refer to it as a cryptocurrency, but in my opinion, that terminology is somewhat misleading. It could be used as a medium of exchange, so you could call it that, but in reality, it's been classified as a commodity by the SEC. And so, being a commodity, to me, it's more of a store of value. And why is that important? Well, throughout history, our gold reserves, or gold, if it's held by an individual, is considered to be a store of value, something that would protect your asset going forward against these printing presses, against the fiat money. Unfortunately, for the most part, gold has not performed that well over the last 10, 20 years as far as maintaining your purchasing power. And that's the key. If our dollar, or, Canadian dollar, in my case, US dollar, your, Australian dollar, your British pound, whatever country you're from, if your currency's being debased through more printing and inflation is taking off, your buying power of holding on to fiat money is greatly reduced every year, and that's not good. So anyways, you'll run across that. BTC, well, that stands for Bitcoin, and it's the world's largest crypto asset by market cap. And there's only ever 21 million coins that will ever be issued again, or mined, let's say, and that won't occur. The final coin won't be mined until the year 2140. So it's shortly after I won't be here. But anyways, there's quite a bit of time left. A little over 19 million coins, as a history lesson, have been mined. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're all in circulation, because a lot of people believe and can somewhat prove that a few million coins have already been lost. And once they're lost, typically they'll never ever be recovered. And they're put into, say, cold storage wallet, and possibly, they would need keys to open that wallet. And if the person dies without telling someone the keys, or loses the keys, or loses the hardware they're stored on, they're gone, and they're gone for good. But anyways, that's the history on that Bitcoin. The 21 million coins, that's the maximum that would ever be mined. Now, the Bitcoin miners, you'll hear that terminology, and exactly what is a miner? They mine Bitcoin is what they do, Bitcoin miners. And that Bitcoin mining refers to the process where a global network of computers running the BTC code, the Bitcoin code, work to ensure that transactions are legitimate and added correctly to the crypto blockchain, which is a public ledger that exists across a network. So the miners, in a way, they mine the Bitcoin through the Bitcoin code. However, they're also protectors of the blockchain technology. And the good thing with miners, nobody trusts anybody. So every miner is checking to make sure that the ledger is accurate. And the nice thing that when you do your research, you realize a lot of networks can be hacked. Banks can be hacked, governments can be hacked. Bitcoin's never been hacked. And the Bitcoin code has never been hacked, and nor will it ever be. Why? Because of the amount of security they have on the network. When you've got literally tens of millions of computers checking every transaction all the time, they're ensuring that the blockchain stays legitimate, the ledger stays legitimate. And a ledger simply is an accounting, in and out, and, making sure the transactions, people don't get double paid or shorted. Anyways, they perform an important service for the Bitcoin. So you'll always see the miners and protecting the blockchain. You're going to come across the term halving. Now, halving is when these miners are rewarded. Their rewards are cut in half, typically every 4 years. So the amount of work, what happens when the miners, do these computations, protecting the network, they're paid in Bitcoin, their reward. And typically, the rewards currently are 6.25 Bitcoin for every blockchain that's added to the chain. And the halving occurs approximately every 4 years when that reward is cut in half. And they can, they can tell you exactly when the halving is going to occur. It's a fixed amount of Bitcoins are mined, and it'll be cut in half. And that occurs in April of 2024. The date in April can vary from 2 to 3 days, depending on the, how efficient they are going to that date. But you can pretty well, bank on that. And why is that important? Well, most miners sell their Bitcoin on the open market. However, with the halving, their rewards will be cut in half, meaning there'll be less and less supply going onto the open market from the mining activity. So where will the supply come from? Obviously, price action. as the price keeps going up, more people are incentivized to sell, and that'll be where the supply is. However, like, it's the only commodity on the planet with a fixed supply. Everything else is not. More gold can be mined, more houses can be built. Yeah. You're going to hear the term sats. What's a sat? Keep stacking those sats. Sats is short form for Satoshis. Now you've got Bitcoin. One Bitcoin can further be divided into 100 million Satoshis. And so it's divisible, Bitcoin is, and that's referred to for short form as a sat. And so you'll hear in your videos, if you're watching, keep stacking those sats. It's an expression, but it means, hey, keep accumulating, keep buying. And it's referring to Satoshis. Again, it'd be like, okay, if Bitcoin was referred to as $1, a Satoshi could be referred to as a penny, a part of it, part of the coin. What's an alt? An alt is an alternative crypto coin other than Bitcoin. And I refer to the alts as a derogatory name. But altcoins are any other coin that's issued other than Bitcoin. I don't study them. I have no use for them. Some people do, and some people have done well dealing in altcoins. To me, it's more speculation. And the reason I don't care for them, anybody can issue an altcoin. There's over 20,000 altcoins out there. Some of the popular ones are Ethereum and XRP, Solana, Cardano. There's, like I say, 20,000. But when you do your research on them, they have a central, for the most part, issuer, and for the most part are on limited supply. So, they don't fit the bill for what I'm looking for. And so be careful with altcoins. Do your research on them. I have enough volume of information to study on Bitcoin without having to worry about any of those other things. You'll hear the term whale. What's a whale? Well, it's not an animal, swimming in the sea in this case. A whale is a holder of 1,000 Bitcoin or more. And, you'll think, holy Jesus, there are people like, yeah, there's over 2,000 whales in existence. And they don't know who they are necessarily, but they can, again, the ledger is public knowledge as far as how many coins are in there, at what time they move, when they move. That's all monitored. So it's all studied and, verified. And currently there are over 2,000 holders of at least 1,000 Bitcoin. And those are referred to as whales. So when you hear that, you'll understand what that means. Most of you, if you're into stocks, you'll know the term DCAing, dollar cost averaging, and that's a good system to set up and use in your life if you're investing. It whether markets go up or down in volatility, if you're putting in so much money every month, you're dollar cost averaging. You're buying a little less with the same amount of money when prices are up, and you're buying a little more with the same amount of money when prices drop. But you're averaging it over time, and if your investments are rising, well, you've done well dollar cost averaging simply. So that's a good thing to use. All-time highs, ATH. You'll see the short form published in some articles and that. And what's an all-time high? Obviously, it's when the price has hit a new high all time. In Bitcoin's case, the all-time high occurred November 8th, 2021. At approximately 69,000. It closed, I think, at the day at 67 and change, but it did hit up to 69 during the day. And why I mention that, when they go back and look at the records of anyone who's ever bought Bitcoin, and this applies even as of today, if they've held the Bitcoin for 4 years, no one has ever lost money with Bitcoin. Again, if they've held it for 4 years. Now, well, what if someone bought it to 69,000? It's only at half that now. Yeah, well, 4 years will be November 2025. And I'm going to give a prediction at the end what I think the Bitcoin price will be long before that. And it's more than that. So I think you'll see anyone who even buys Bitcoin at the high, or did buy at the high, is going to be, not losing any money, say, within the 4-year period. So I think that will be maintained as a historical example. MCAP, market capitalization. In cryptocurrency, crypto assets, Bitcoin generates 50% of the total market cap. It's actually probably a little more of that when you take out the stable coins, which are crypto coin that might hold, equate to US dollar, for example. I think it's closer to 60% market share. So it's the big fish in the pond. Ethereum would be second. It generates anywhere from 18 to 20% of the total. The funny thing is, altcoins tend to do well when Bitcoin does well. And when Bitcoin starts to drop, the market cap, the percentage of Bitcoin goes up as far as the market cap. So in times of fear, in other words, if there's panic or something, the Bitcoin ownership of the total crypto market cap jumps. So it's kind of the safe haven of all the cryptos out there, obviously with over 50%. You've heard me speak of proxies. There are many stocks that have relationship to Bitcoin. So, as Bitcoin travels up or down, stocks will mimic that. And in a lot of cases, a lot of people, it's a way that they can actually get Bitcoin exposure without having to hold their coins in, say, a cold wallet. Remember those keys that could be lost again, as I mentioned earlier. So using a proxy, it's what I do, and I've recommended to, several people who've taken my advice, by the way, and done well with it. Proxies are the way to go. The popular ones are traded on the U.S. exchanges, which is a good thing. They're monitored, they're regulated, they're audited companies typically. MicroStrategy I've mentioned. Riot Blockchain is a Bitcoin miner. Marathon Digital is also a Bitcoin miner. I mentioned those two because they're the biggest by market cap in their fields, and these companies, by the way, are all owned by the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, the Vanguards of the world. And I don't mean a few hundred shares. They own healthy percentages from 3 to 8% of a company's shares are owned by those big funds. Other ones, believe it or not, Coinbase could be a proxy on Bitcoin. Block or Square, SQ is the ticker symbol. Nvidia, and even some people think Tesla is a play on, Bitcoin. Tesla does hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and apparently Elon's going to be accepting Bitcoin as payment in the near future for Teslas. ETFs. Well, most of us know exactly what an ETF is: exchange traded fund. What's the big to-do about spot Bitcoin ETFs? Well, an ETF will pick its field, and in this case, spot Bitcoin means the only thing these 12 companies with their applications, which I believe will all get approved at once, will hold in their ETF is Bitcoin. Not Bitcoin proxies, not Bitcoin-related assets. It'll be strictly Bitcoin. And the reason I think this is going to generate a lot of interest is that it's now simple for a corporation, an investment advisor, an individual to actually participate in Bitcoin through a regulated, SEC-approved, ETF, and they can get their exposure straight, right through their investment accounts, and it'll be 1-to-1. If they're putting $1,000 in, they'll actually receive enough shares equating to $1,000 of Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin, does a double, their shares will do a double. So it's directly tracking the price of Bitcoin. So that's what the big to-do is about ETFs and the spot Bitcoin ETFs that are coming. SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, they have oversight of securities, whether it's a commodity or a security, and they're very particular about securities. They're not so involved with commodities. And that's the thing with Bitcoin, it's the only coin, let's call it, token, whatever you want to refer to it as, that's been classified as a commodity. All the other altcoins that I mentioned earlier, the 20-odd thousand, have not been determined to be commodities. In fact, most of them, in my opinion, if not all, are securities. They're not necessarily decentralized, which Bitcoin is. So they have issuers, they have people that will benefit from the issuing of those coins, and that tends to be referred to as a security, and I think they will be. So that's important that Bitcoin, by several chairmen of the SEC, again, has been declared a commodity. So it's similar to gold. It's similar to any copper, silver. As far as those are commodities, well, so is Bitcoin, and it'll be treated as such once these ETFs get approved. KYC, know your customer. That's been a bit of a issue with regulators, because it's important for the governments and regulators to know, who these owners or customers of these exchanges are. And honestly, I don't have a real issue with that. I pay my taxes, so hey, I'm happy to file. And as a Bitcoin holder or a customer, so knowing your customer, and some people try to evade it or hide it, but why risk it? So when you register, anyone that deals with the exchanges, if you send a million shares of Apple to someone, they know who you are, and it's going to be the same thing with Bitcoin through any of the U.S. regulated entities that would be involved, and that's good. HODL, HODL, hold on for dear life. What's a hodler? A hodler is someone that holds their Bitcoin and decides, I'm not really going to sell. You've heard, well, maybe you haven't, but they have a saying, diamond hands versus paper hands. So diamond hands mean, man, you're in there for the long term. You've studied your Bitcoin, you understand the reason for it, the why, and you decided, hey, I'm just keeping this till the cows come home. And versus the paper hands, who are probably the traders, in and out. And the problem with trading, in my opinion, you never want to be out of the market, let's say, on those few days a year when you can get a jump. In this situation, I think the jump is going to be historic, and you don't want to be missing out. So I don't do trading. I'll do some hedging, but I'm more of a buy and hold type of guy, and dollar cost average too. So here's something that is going to occur in the next 90 days, and that's called FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. And boy, I think people on the planet are going to be shocked when they see these price increases in Bitcoin. And why is the price going to go up, Brooke? Well, there's going to be demand, not only from these ETFs, although I think part of that they've already set aside, but as more money flows in, they have to go buy more. So you're going to see it take off, and it's going to be self-fulfilling. The more people get in, the higher the price, the more people want to get in. And it's the fear of missing out. It's a human emotion, and it's quite common. It's just natural. It's greed, based on greed. No one wants to miss out on a good deal or a good turn. And the good news is it's never too late to buy Bitcoin. When Bitcoin doubles, which is going to happen, in my opinion, shortly, it'll still be a good time to buy. And why I say that, in my opinion, Bitcoin will replace gold as the major asset to protect wealth going forward. It probably will take a few years for, sovereign nations, large corporations, medium, small, and individuals to realize that they're better protected, their wealth is in Bitcoin than, say, gold, before that occurs. But it's going to happen, in my opinion. And, we'll see. FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's a lot of misinformation, let's say, on every newscast you see, on a lot of articles you read, and a lot of YouTube videos you watch. It's sensationalism, you might call it. It's to create a bit of panic, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. Don't be a fudster, is what I tell people. It garners clicks. It garners a wow factor sometimes. It's a spreading of misinformation, and there'll be alternative reasons people do it. You've heard of shilling. Well, shilling is when you're trying to sell something to somebody and making it as, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, they're probably one of two things: trying to sell their book, meaning they've bought the asset and they're trying to get everyone else to buy it to, raise the prices, or it's a pump and dump. They're trying to get the price up so they can get the heck out of something, But a lot of FUD is based around that. So you'll see those both, FUD and shilling and pump and dump, when you're coming across articles. BTD, buy the dip. Typically, that's when I buy. I don't like buying on an up market. I tend to wait for a pullback, and it's called buying the dip. So I only buy on down days. Orange pilled. Have you been orange pilled? Oh, what's that? So when you hear someone's been orange pilled, they've been introduced to Bitcoin with hopefully more than just a casual remark. So it's been explained, they've done some research, they've been shown some research. They've been orange pilled to the point where they actually become a believer. I think it comes from the movie The Matrix, where Neo had to decide between the blue and the red. But with Bitcoin, it's orange pilled. So, the leader of El Salvador was orange pilled by Max Kaiser, a Bitcoin OG, you'd call him. And so they've adopted Bitcoin for the country. The new president-elect of Argentina believes in Bitcoin. He's been orange-pilled. Obviously, Michael Saylor is a great resource. Again, we'll try and put the link on the bottom so you can watch that interview with Tucker Carlson. And if you watched it, watch it again. You'll just become even more certain. I watch it several times a year, and I garner something every time from it. But in the interview, he mentions about sitting down with Elon Musk, who I consider two of the smartest men on the planet, both MIT graduates, engineers, so that probably helped them, but speaking the same language. Took him 5 minutes to convince Elon Musk to buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin as a treasury asset for Tesla. So that says something when, the smartest men on the planet are saying, hey, this is how we're going to protect our wealth. So they were definitely, Elon was orange-pilled. And the final thing I'm going to wrap up is, before I give you my prediction, is a common phrase I tend to use, and you'll see it and hear it, and it says, when in doubt, zoom out. So if you're looking at an issue or a problem, or you're uncertain about something, take a step back, zoom out, look at the whole picture. And, as it pertains to Bitcoin, it is a volatile asset. And so, prepare yourself for that. Just, you want the knowingness that long term, it's going to be, higher highs and higher lows and higher highs and higher lows going forward. Throughout history, when Bitcoin was trading at 12 cents a coin, I'm sure there were people thinking, man, if it ever gets to $10, I'm getting the heck out of this. I made a ton. And when it was trading at $100, they probably said, well, boy, if it ever hits 1,000, I'm getting the heck out. And when it hit $2,000 a coin, if they ever thought it hit to 10, I'm getting the heck out. And then it hit 20,000, it ever got to 50, I'm getting the heck out. And then it hit 70, and oh, what's next? I think you hopefully know the answer by now. So what I see happening and what I'm aiming for in Bitcoin is by the halving April that we will have an all-time high. So, which is probably a year before the typical 4 years. So I could see Bitcoin doubling in price by April. There's all kinds of guesstimates, call them. People think it could be, as high as $1 million a coin by then. Can't see that happening, but one never knows. Depends on the adoption and how quickly and how much FOMO. So, but lastly, and I'll end off with this. I'm not sitting here to give anyone financial advice. Basically, what I do, these are terms that I came across, and initially I just got, what the heck's that mean? Some of them were explained, but some of them weren't. So I had to actually, go and do the work. So hopefully that helps today with, when you come across this. But, do your family a favor, leave a legacy, take a look at Bitcoin and make your own decision on what you think is going to happen. As always, hit the like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'd like to thank Coop for allowing me this brief period every Sunday to pontificate. And again, hit the like and subscribe, share with your friends, and if you get a chance, watch that video again. You'll enjoy it. Goodbye for now.